Imagine a police department from, 3 towns over.
Hmm.
A town you don't live in, you don't vote in, and you definitely don't pay taxes to. And suddenly, they issue a warrant for your arrest and expect your own neighbors to enforce it.
Right, you wouldn't just ignore it. You'd probably see it as like a massive overreach.
Exactly. And welcome to your custom deep dive. That jurisdictional standoff is basically what's happening right now between the U.S. government and the International Criminal Court in The Hague.
Yeah, it is a really intense situation.
It is. So today we're looking at a new report detailing this aggressive diplomatic campaign by the Trump administration to completely isolate the ICC. And just right up front, because this involves some pretty highly charged political maneuvering, we are strictly analyzing the facts here today.
Right, we are definitely not taking sides.
No, not at all. We are just breaking down the mechanics of this standoff
Yeah.
and, why it actually matters to you.
So the U.S. stance has shifted a lot. I mean, they've moved from passive non-recognition to active confrontation. According to a video message by Secretary of State Marco Rubio, which confirms a recent Reuters report, Washington actually views the ICC's actions as a literal war against the United States.
Wait, a literal war?
Yeah, they're accusing the court of abusing, quote, so-called international law.
Wow, framing it as a war really changes the whole playbook. I mean, they aren't just sending angry letters anymore.
No, definitely not.
The U.S. is threatening travel bans and pulling visas for ICC staff, and Rubio is pushing allied nations to withdraw from the court entirely.
Right, and he's warning that any country refusing to protest the ICC's jurisdiction over the American military is going to face, strict scrutiny from Washington.
So this threat to pull visas and leverage diplomatic weight, that isn't just some random policy shift.
No, not at all. It's direct retaliation. It's a response to a major legal escalation last month.
Right, when 3 ICC judges actually took the unprecedented step of suing President Trump and his administration in U.S. federal court.
Exactly. They are challenging sanctions the U.S. imposed on them last year, arguing that those penalties are unlawful.
But wait, I have a question about this. If the U.S. fundamentally doesn't recognize the ICC's authority to begin with, isn't this mutual retaliation just, yelling across a void? How does slapping a sanction on a judge in The Hague actually change anything on the ground?
Well, it changes a lot because the U.S. controls the global financial plumbing. By sanctioning these judges under U.S. law, Washington is basically phasing them out of the global economy.
Oh, wow. I didn't think about it like that.
Yeah, if a judge's bank touches U.S. dollars, which almost all international transactions do, their assets can be completely frozen.
That is massive.
It really is. It forces allied countries and international banks to choose between doing business with the U.S. or doing business with the ICC.
So it's like the ultimate trump card. It's less about debating legal theory and way more about just cutting off the oxygen to the court's resources.
Right, exactly.
They're using the tools of economic warfare, which is, the kind of stuff usually reserved for rogue states or terrorism, against the very concept of international law.
Yeah, and that's sort of the paradox at the heart of this report. I mean, the goal here is to create this physical and financial roadblock that completely paralyzes the ICC.
Paralyzes them from investigating Trump or his administration or U.S. military operations abroad.
You hit the nail on the head.
But this sudden escalation over jurisdiction, it didn't just start with these recent sanctions. The U.S. has heavily guarded its sovereignty for decades.
Oh, yeah. I mean, former President George W. Bush firmly believed the court shouldn't have any authority to investigate Americans either.
Right. And the friction really hit a boiling point back in March 2020.
Yeah, that's when the ICC launched an official probe into the conflict in Afghanistan. And they explicitly included a look at potential crimes by U.S. troops.
Which was basically the tripwire for Washington.
Exactly. That 2020 probe proved to Washington that the ICC was actually willing to point its investigative lens directly at an American footprint.
Though I should probably note from the report that since 2021, that specific Afghanistan probe shifted its focus away from the U.S. military.
Right. They started concentrating mostly on the Afghan government and Taliban forces.
But the damage to the U.S.-ICC relationship was already done at that point.
It really was. We are looking at a clash of two very, very different definitions of global accountability here. On one side, you have an international legal body trying to assert universal jurisdiction.
And on the other, a superpower fiercely protecting its military personnel from foreign oversight.
Exactly. It's a massive standoff.
Which kind of brings us back to that police force 3 towns over analogy.
Right.
If a major global power can successfully use its massive economic and diplomatic leverage to just financially isolate the world's primary international court.
Yeah, then what happens next?
Right. I mean, what does that mean for the future of international law when dealing with smaller nations that don't have that kind of leverage?
That is the big question.
If the biggest houses on the block refuse to play by the rules and can just shut down the enforcers, can a global rule of law survive at all? Something for you to ponder as we wrap up this deep dive.